So we should continue with grammar only. Last time we took up subject, verb, conquered. Now, in this session, we are taking up modals, right? Now, first of all, let me tell you, M-O-D-A-L-S. Some people pronounce it as models. Some people pronounce it as modals, right? It is pronounced as modals, right? Models also you can say, but not model. Model is M-O-D-E-L, fine? Anyway, can you see this presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll just show you the full screen. Now I think this is better, right? Yes. Here, the very first slide, you will see a box. This is basically what we call word cloud. This word cloud depicts many words. Just make a silent reading of the words. And can you just make out what these words are? What do you know about these words? Can, could, should, may, might, must, will, would, etc., etc. Have you read these words? Are you using these words in your writing and speaking?
Yes, ma'am.
We use it every day in our everyday conversation, in our everyday writing, in our everyday reading. We come across such words. We cannot use English somehow without these very words, right? What do you think about these words? What are these words? Yes. Of course, you would say they are models, isn't it? They are models. Now, the question is, what are models? Models are appearing like helping verbs. Now, the helping verbs are helping verbs are is, am, are, has, have, had, do, does, done, etc. These are helping verbs, right? So these words that you see in the cloud, Anmol, they look like those helping verbs. Yes, you can call them helping verbs. They are helping verbs. They are main auxiliary verbs, but their function is different from the helping verbs I just mentioned, am, are, was, were, etc. Why? Because these particular words, they add to the special meaning of or special significance of the main verb, right? These words are expressive. These words are suggestive. They express something. They suggest something. Just as for example, early in the morning, it was a bit cloudy. Since it was a bit cloudy, so what everybody speculated, it may rain today. Now, when I say it may rain today, can you just pick out the main verb in the sentence? It may rain today.
May.
Main verb. Main verb would be rain. Main verb is the working verb, right? That denotes a word in action. Is that clear? So rain is the main verb, but may is the modal. It is an auxiliary verb. Now, how does it add to the meaning of rain? It is expressing possibility of rain. All right? It is expressing possibility of rain. This is how it is adding to the meaning of this main verb. It is suggesting it's cloudy, so it may rain. There is the possibility of rainy day today. Is that clear? We will come across Many such examples I'll discuss with you. But before we continue with these models, actually, I want to show you some posters, some notices. These very notices, just just browse at these, browse at the slides, quick. These notices you find at the public places, right? I'll give you the chance to read each and every notice. Then we'll discuss. Each notice is suggesting something, expressing something. It is asking you for something. What is that? Let's see. Okay? Fine? What you have to do, you will read each notice, Anmol, and just think over and tell me where you find this notice, right? Just as for example, when you go to the school's library, okay? When you go to the school's library, do you find either of such kind of notice in the library?
Yes, ma'am.
Which one?
Quiet, please.
Quiet, please, right? Silence, please. Keep silence. Quiet, please. No noise. Such kind of notices are there. Not only library, you find it at various places. Now, when you find this notice, quiet, please, in the library, I would like you to recover the meaning of this notice in your words. What do you understand by this? What is it telling you?
Ma'am, we have to do not make noise such that places.
Okay, we have not to. Now you do remember, Anmol, it says quiet, please, meaning you, right? So we will not use we the pronoun. We will use you the pronoun. Now you recover the meaning again.
You have to do not make noise such
You
that
have not to make a noise. You must keep quiet. You should sit quietly in the library. You cannot make noise. Now you see that what it is in for one notice only, we have used the sentences with different models. In one sentence, you said you cannot make a noise. So cannot, can is a model. Then you said you must keep quiet, you must sit quietly. Again, must here. You should sit quietly. Again, should here. Do you understand? So all these words, when we are using these models like can, must, should, all of these are expressing different meaning. Now, what this meaning is, that we will discuss one by one. So today we will take up this warm-up activity first of all. It would take pretty time, but if you are able to understand this and you are able to recover the meaning of each and every notice, I think your half the job is done. It means that you have got a very good understanding of the models. So shall we begin?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So see the first one. Please do not litter. This is a very common notice. You must have come across this notice at various places. Can you just remember where do you find this?
Ma'am, in public places.
Which public places? Where do you find this notice?
Ma'am,
Yes,
park.
in the park, right? Very right. What else? Where else do you find?
Ma'am, in malls, in park.
Right, right. Correct. Carry on. You find it in the malls, you find it in the parks, you find it in the school canteen, you find it in the hospitals. You find it on the pavements. You find it in the offices. You find it in the banks. You find it in libraries. You find it in post office. You find it in hospitals, in nursing homes, in the doctor's clinic. So you find it not only at public places, but at some private places also. Private places, when I say, I would say school. Why? Because school is not open to common public. Only those who are registered with the school, only they are allowed. You will find it in the playgrounds, you will find it in the stadiums, right? Okay, now let's recover the meaning. Please do not litter. How would you recover the meaning? Yes, Anmol.
You should not make
Right.
dirty this place.
Okay. Here it says do not litter. So you should be saying you should not litter here. Or you should not litter here and there. Or you should not throw garbage here. Right? Apart from you should, can you use any other model?
Must.
You must not litter here. Good. Any other? If you go to a museum, right? If you go to a museum, you find it here, the meaning changes. If you go to a sensitive zone, again, it is something different. You cannot litter here. You cannot litter here. Now, look here, that why these different models, Anmol, when you say you should not litter here, meaning it is not compulsory, but it would be, it is your responsibility not to litter here. It is your duty not to litter here. Is that clear? It is your responsibility to keep the area clean. So how you can keep it clean? By not littering here and there. And when you say that you cannot litter here, meaning informally, you are not permitted to litter here. You know, at some places, if you litter, you are penalized. Yes, in Himachal Pradesh, in Kerala, if the people litter here and there, even if they throw a small bit of paper other than the dustbin, then they are penalized, they are challaned, they are charged with fine. So it means that you cannot litter here, meaning informally you are not permitted. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So just understand that how they are adding to the specific meaning of the main verb. Okay, let's go to the next. Quiet, please. We have already discussed, right? We have already discussed. Quiet, please. We get this in the library. We get this outside the operation theater. Any other place where you think you remember that you have seen such notice?
Ma'am, at hospitals.
Right. Yes, any other?
No, ma'am.
In the school's media room, in the school's audio video room, there we find it.
Yes, ma'am.
Quiet, please. Right. When you go to the museums, we come across this notice. You go to the church, you find it. You go to this Lotus Temple. It's right from the beginning till the end. It's written everywhere. Quiet, please, because they allow everybody to pray. So they don't want any person belonging to any religion be disturbed. Right? Okay, let's go to the next. Yes. Oh, these are very common. Right? So what is it? Please wear a face mask. Where do you find this?
Ma'am, everywhere.
Everywhere. Absolutely right. Now you see that during COVID-19 and after this pandemic, anyway, currently also it is going on, what it is, we have got so much used to these notices. These notices are very common. Please wear a face mask in every nook and corner at public places, private places, and the colonies, everywhere we find these notices. So how would you recover the meaning?
We should wear a face mask to prevent.
In the present, one thing, again, Anmol, you have to correct it. You will not say we should, you would say you should.
Okay.
Right? Because when I say please wear a face mask, it means I am asking you to wear a face mask. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
So it means, hey, you wear a face mask. It's just like that. Okay. So please wear a face mask. Do you think we should say you should? Because when we say you should, it means it is not compulsory, but it is your duty.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think we should say you should, or we should use any other model?
Must.
Must. Because must suggests what? Must expresses necessity. Must expresses necessity. Do you know any other model that expresses necessity? Any other word that expresses necessity? You have to. You must you must wear a face mask. You have to wear a face mask. You need to wear a face mask. In the present scenario, this is what we mean when we find this notice put up in every nook and corner. Right? Okay, let's go to the next. Keep your distance. Where do you find this?
Ma'am, at public places like park, restaurants.
Right. Metro stations.
Tourist places.
Tourist places. Metro stations.
Yes, ma'am.
Metro rail.
At shopkeeper.
Right. Shops. Yes, definitely. You know that shopkeepers have become so conscious, because if the people fall sick, then their business is going to be affected. So they
Yes.
have become very conscious. Good, you said, at the shops. Okay, now you recover the meaning, please.
You must make distance from other people's.
Right. You must keep your distance from others. Now, do you think other than must, there can be another model also to be used?
You have to, you should.
You have to, you should, but must is the most appropriate here. Why? Because it is the need of the time. It is the need of the hour, right? Because it is so urgently and strongly needed, as there is the fear of the third wave again, right? Okay, let's go to the next. Keep silence. This notice we find everywhere. I think we have already discussed this, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's go to the next. Oh, yes. Keep your hands clean to prevent the spread of COVID-19.
Ma'am, everywhere, I think.
Everywhere?
Yes, ma'am.
How can it be everywhere?
Ma'am, because it suggests you should clean your hands.
Okay. Okay, so where do you find it? You usually find it in the
Ma'am, public
near-
toilets.
yes,
At public toilets.
right, exactly. Good. You will find it at public toilets, at public booths, right? At the entrance of the offices and the buildings, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
At the entrance of all the buildings and the offices, you will find the people specifically deputed to help you sanitize your hands, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is what you would say. Okay, so what does it mean? What does it mean?
You must keep your hands clean to prevent the spread of COVID-19.
Right, you must clean your hands to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Okay, let's come to the next. Please pay here. Where do you find this notice?
Ma'am, at restaurants.
At restaurants, okay. Yes.
At malls.
At malls, okay.
At showrooms.
At the showrooms, okay.
मैम और नहीं पता.
At the fee counters, right? At the fee counters or at the cash counters of the shops, of the grocery stores, etc. Fine. Okay. Now please recover the meaning.
You can pay here.
Right. Very good. Very correct. Very appropriately you used. Good. Any other?
If you need to pay, please
No,
pay.
no. It has to be just like an imperative sentence. That pattern is correct. You can pay here. So start the sentence with you. Yes. You can pay here. You should pay here. When you say you can pay here, it means you are allowed to pay here. When you say you should pay here, it means that this is the payment counter.
Okay, ma'am.
So you should pay here, right? Okay, now let's go to the next. No cameras or camera phones.
Ma'am, at religious places.
At?
Religious places.
Yes, at religious places, right? Where else? Where else do you find?
At petrol pump.
Petrol pumps, so good. At petrol pumps, no camera phones, we can say. No phones, we can say, but not no cameras.
Yes, ma'am.
Isn't it? Yes. Any other?
No, ma'am.
At religious places, at very sensitive areas, just as for example, near the border areas, in cantonment, in some offices,
at some forts.
in some,
At some forts.
yes, the tourist places, at some tourist places also it's not allowed. In hospitals, it is not allowed, right? Inside the school's premises, it is not allowed. Fine? Okay, recover the meaning now. Recover the meaning. In cinema halls, no cameras or camera phones. Yes. Recover the meaning, please.
You cannot.
Yes. Right, very correct. You cannot what? Yes. You cannot bring cameras here. You cannot bring cameras or camera phones here,
Yes, ma'am.
right? You should not bring cameras or camera phones here. You must not bring cameras or camera phones here, right? Okay, let's go to the next. Yes, here. Now see the first one. Only one person beyond the yellow line. Where do you find it? It's very common.
Ma'am, at malls.
Okay, right, right. What else? Metro stations,
Yes.
right? You find it at metro stations. Okay, now you recover the meaning. Yes.
Can.
Only one person beyond the yellow line.
Ma'am, I cannot make the meaning.
You cannot recover the meaning. You should come with only one person beyond the yellow line, right? Or it is, there can come only one person beyond the yellow line. We cannot say here there should. No, there is no point for should when this notice has been put up there. There can come only one person, right? Okay, let's go to the next. Good drivers don't honk unnecessarily.
Ma'am, at roads.
Right? Very right. On the roads. Yes. What does it say? What does it mean?
Good drivers don't honk unnecessarily.
Yes. So you recover the meaning. When this notice is put up in the form of a phrase, it is giving a message to we the people. When we are on roads, when we are driving. So it's for those who are driving. So you see, in this kind of message, what it is, you will ignore good drivers. Okay. And when you have to recover the meaning, you will only focus on don't honk. This is the actual message. And this icon you must have come across many a times. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes. Now you do it.
You should don't honk unnecessary while driving.
Okay, child, when you say you should not, then you would not say don't. Because in place of don't only, you are using should not. Honk is the main verb. You are adding a modal in place of this helping verb. Is that clear? So one will be used either a modal or a helping verb. Do remember this thing, okay? So you would say you shouldn't honk unnecessarily. You cannot honk unnecessarily. You must not honk unnecessarily. Right? In fact, it should be you must not honk. In a country like India, the people keep honking and there is no challan against it. But in the other countries, the people, they cannot honk. There is no honking system. And you know that yesterday I had been watching a program where they had introduced a man in some part of UP, I think. So what the man said for last 30 years, he is driving an auto, but he had never done honking. So this is how he very religiously is following the traffic rules. Right? Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Come to the next. No smoking.
At restaurant, parks, at hospitals, at all public places, tourist places,
Right.
in car, all vehicles,
Petrol pumps.
petrol pumps.
Right? Petrol pumps, fire stations. In fact, inside the public vehicle, transport vehicles also, like inside the buses, inside the flights also, inside the train also. Isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, now you recover the meaning.
You should
Yes.
do not.
Don't say do not. Don't say do not. You should not is correct. You should not smoke here. Right? You should not smoke here. Any other? If in a public park, you would say you should not smoke here, right? But if the same notice is put up, say in the hospital, then what would be the meaning?
Smoke here?
No. If the same notice is put up in the hospital, then would you say you should not? What would you say? You would say you cannot smoke here. You must not smoke here. Right?
Okay, ma'am.
Fine. Okay. Now, if the same notice is put up at the petrol pump, what is the meaning?
You must not smoke here?
You must not smoke here. Very good. You must not smoke here because it is urgently required to abstain from smoking. Right? Okay. Yes. This is the last slide of this activity. Then there are furthermore the slides. Yes. Please stand in queue.
At bus stand.
Right.
At metro station.
Correct. Booking counters. Ticket windows.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. In the schools.
Yes,
at the school canteen.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. In the assembly ground of the school.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. At the cinema halls.
Yes, ma'am.
So when you visit all these places, Anmol, you must read these very notices very carefully. Because these would help you a lot when you get the writing skills also in English. Okay. Yes. Now let us recover the meaning. Please stand in queue.
You must stand in queue.
Right. You should stand in queue. You must stand in queue. Correct. Okay. You have to stand in queue. In the school it is, you have to stand in queue. Right? In the prayer assembly ground, you have to stand in queue. At the canteen, you must stand in queue. Outside the library, you must stand in queue. At the bus stand, you should stand in queue. Yes, the next one. No photography, no video recording. The earlier one, the notice we discussed, it was no camera or camera phones, right? Now this is no photography, no video recording.
At some tourist places,
Right,
at hospitals,
right,
religious places,
right. Schools
schools. Yes.
or educational institutions,
Yes, ma'am.
right? Okay, so the meaning,
You should not do photographing and video recording here.
very good, very good. You should not do photography or video recording here. Any other?
You must.
Not must. You cannot. You
Okay.
cannot do photography or video recording here. Right? Okay, let's go to the next. Now, the next one is a warning. This notice is a warning. We often see which says, do not touch cable, do not touch wire, do not touch this box. You often find in your local colony also, in the midst of the colony, there is a huge electrical box, right?
Yes,
On
ma'am.
which there is a danger mark and it is written danger. And then it is written do not touch, right? So what, because highly sensitive and voltage cables are, high voltage cables are there, right? So when it is do not touch cable, how do you recover the meaning?
You should not touch cable.
You should not touch cable. Okay, any other?
You cannot touch cable.
Okay, any other? Yes, you must not. You must not is the most appropriate here. Now, here one thing I tell you, when you say you should not, it means you are giving an advice. Now, advice is something not necessarily to be followed. So it does not become mandatory, it does not become a necessity. But when we say do not touch cable, this particular notice, it requires necessity. It is necessary for you not to touch cable. If I say you should not touch cable, meaning it is not necessary, if you better it is that you do not touch cable, right? But no, giving this notice does not have this purpose. This notice does convey that it is necessary for you to keep yourself away from the cable, right? That's why you would say you must not touch cable. You must not touch wire or this kind of notice. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Now you see the tree after doing this activity, Anmol. Look at this. This is what you have used. Right? When you recovered the meaning of all these notices, mostly you used must, may, can, might, should. Isn't it? So these are, apart from that, the other words also, which appear to be the helping verbs, they are actually the special type of auxiliary verbs, which are called modals. Why? Because they provide additional or specific meaning to the main verbs, right? Just as for example, when I say, I will go to school tomorrow. Go is the main verb, will go. When we add will, it does not only refer to the tense, but it does express certainty. When I say I would go, then it is not certain. It is possibility I might go. But when I say I will, then it means sure, certainly I will go. Right? Then we use shall. Shall is a polite request. I shall help you. Shall I help you? Shall I help you? It is a question. It appears to be a question, but actually it is a polite offer. Right? Can. Can expresses number of the things. I'll discuss later. Can expresses ability. Can expresses permission. Right? For example, can I take your book? This is permission. I can swim. This is ability. Right? You can revise your lessons. What is this? This is advice. It can rain. This is possibility. Now you see that one modal and it has so many functions. Now may is expressing possibility and also formal permission. I'll discuss later. Must, necessity, might, least possibility, and also the past form of may. Would as the past form of will, but possibility as well. Should as the past form of shall, and usually it is used as the past form of shall when we are changing it in the reported speech. When I take up the reported speech, I'll explain. Ought to. Ought to is formal, authority. Formally, it is told you it is a necessity. Right? For example, the school tells you, you ought to come to school in the school uniform, meaning it is compulsory. You have to come to school in school uniform. Right? Okay. Now these modals, what do they express? They express capability or ability. They express possibility. They express obligation. They express permission, formal or informal. They express request and they express necessity. Apart from that, one thing more which you have to remember is that these modals, in particular the past form of these modals, they do not change. Can is changed into could, but could cannot be changed into can. Will is changed into would, but would will not be changed into will. Shall is changed into should, but should will not be changed into shall. May is changed into might, but might will not be changed into may. And ought to and used to, they are the same. They do not have any other form. I hope it is clear.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes.
Ma'am, as you said, could, would, should, might, they are the past form of can, shall, and may. So
Yes.
in the daily life, we can use, as we use the I would like to say something. So would is the past form. Why we use would? We cannot use will there.
Yes, I tell you here, you are absolutely right and very relevant question you put up. When you say I will ask you a question. I will ask you a question is 100% sure, certainty. But when you say I would like to ask you a question, it means I like to ask you a question. It means there is a possibility that you can ask a question, right? Then it is not necessarily that it is the past form of will. I tell you that actually, when the past forms of these very particular models is used, when we are changing them into the reported speech, majorly it is done at that time. Yes, but in our day-to-day conversations, we use would, we use could very often. Just as for example, I say, hey, if you wanted, you could help. Couldn't you? Right? Then it does not mean it is, it does not mean that it is past form. It does suggest that couldn't you help? Meaning there is possibility. Meaning there is an advice as well. This is a polite request also. You could help her. In a simple sentence, when I say you could help her, meaning that possibly it is a polite offer that possibly you should have tried to help. I hope it is clear, Anmol.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Anything else?
No, ma'am.
Okay. The rest, the function of each and every model with examples, we'll take up on Saturday. Tomorrow there is no class, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, child.